What inspired you to make Alfredo, do the Alfredo?
Why are you in America? And he said, because it's a great place to do business. And he said, here's the example. If you fail in any of these other countries, you are looked at as a failure and you're a disgrace, and finding a job or another opportunity after you fail, good luck with that. But in America, when you fail, it's looked at like experience, and you can have many second chances. It's just a question of never quitting. Most brands don't make it 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, and I thought that I could beat the odds, and I found out that most odds are there, and you don't beat them for a reason. And another episode of Chapter 2 of Documenting the Journey. Cody, how we doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Are you doing great?
It's a good day today.
It is. It's starting to get towards chilly weather, but at least the sun's out.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump right into this because I want to get to your questions. But how long have you worked for me?
I started in early 2017, so it's been on and off 7 years now. I left for a year at the end of 2018, and then came back a year later, and then left for another year, a year after that, and now I'm back. Third time's a charm.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yep. No, but I mean, well, some people leave and go find out that there is a difference in the different places that you work for. Some people leave and they are not welcomed back, and you have always been welcome back because you always did it well. So, in that respect, it was about you finding you, but you've always been solid, so we were always happy to actually welcome you back. Okay, so you know the drill of all of this, as far as hopefully something good and insightful comes out of it, but you've got, I don't know what questions or how many questions you have, but let's see where this goes. What kind of questions do you have for me?
All right, well, first question I have is what inspired you to make Alfredo, do the Alfredo? What made you want to do that?
So, and that was because it's ended up being like, our Alfredo is like the shit.
Top tier.
Well, it was, so there was a time where I was, before Pizza Junkiez, it was Coffee Junkiez and Dad's Deli. And I wanted to take Dad's Deli in another direction, very similar to what Noodles and Company did. So I was experimenting with different pastas. And then I brought in a chef, and I told him that I was looking for a from-scratch red sauce and a from-scratch Alfredo sauce.
Okay.
I believe his name was, I think we called him Chef Z. But the point being, because he didn't stick around too long, but that was his contribution, was the Alfredo sauce. The red sauce wasn't bad. In pasta, it was actually a pretty good red sauce. It just never, when we actually were experimenting with it, it wasn't something that we would want to use for pizzas.
Okay.
But the Alfredo sauce was so good that his thing was much like chefs. Most chefs don't want, and I should say that, maybe I'll make a chef mad. I don't, from my experience, most chefs have these recipes in their head, and it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of, and oh, I made a batch. Oh, I'll taste it. Oh, it needs a little bit more of. He hit it so well on the Alfredo that I was like, recipe card, please. And we finally broke it down to say, okay, this is how we can duplicate this. So when it was all said and done, once Pizza Junkiez came on, it was like, we've got this great Alfredo recipe, and the roux itself is meant to thicken it up. So when we put it into the cooler, it turns into an icing that we're able to actually smear on the pizzas. And it was so, the Alfredo sauce was created way before Pizza Junkiez was created. But when we realized by putting it in the cooler, we turned it into an icing, then it became great for turning it into a pizza topping. Because when it goes through the oven, it liquefies, and then we get into my mother's. My son makes juicy pizzas, and putting enough Alfredo on there. Once it liquefies, you cut it with a blade, and it's a good juicy pizza. Where no, I'm excited to actually start selling the Alfredo itself, because I just don't think that it matters whether it's a breadstick or pizza or pasta. Man, you warm up that Alfredo and it liquefies. It just doesn't matter what you pour it over, man. That's good stuff.
It's good on some nachos.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I believe it was, I think the Bradshaw nachos was actually utilizing Alfredo. That, yeah.
Didn't make the menu.
We might actually have to revisit that. Yeah, I mean, because it was a pretty solid nacho in itself.
So you said, what was the name of your, it was Coffee Junkiez and what?
Dad's Deli.
Dad's Deli. What made you want to deviate from that?
Okay, so Dad's Deli was created in 1965, and it was my first attempt at purchasing another brand and trying to revitalize the brand. But when it was all said and done, Dad's Deli was based on much of what you will now find in Kroger, in Walmart, that they have their deli sections. Small mom and pops just cannot compete in that market once major markets take it over. So as I'm revitalizing it, I'm finding out one of the biggest, let's just say, pitfalls that you find in the food industry. I would order my truck in of all of the base products, make batches in 5 and 10 pounds, sell a couple pounds of it, and then end up throwing away the majority of it because the base that Dad's Deli was built on was in a time where that you went there to get your deli items. And it was one of my many mistakes in the food industry because I didn't, in my brain, think, why is this model failing? It's failing because the Walmarts and the Krogers, the grocery stores, the shopping centers have just deteriorated the market share of it, that it's not possible to revitalize. So the first thing I did was whack 50% of the menu, and I still had waste. So I whacked another 50% of the menu, and then I still had a fair amount of waste. And then we got down to, I mean, Indianapolis doesn't know about it, but in Kokomo, the Dad's Deli name was really popular for its chicken salad and for its sweet broccoli salad. But it got to a point once Pizza Junkiez was created that there was just no room for it. It didn't fit nicely in the coffee menu. It didn't fit nicely in the pizza menu. So there just came a time where it was like time to call no joy and just close it down. Dad's Deli had a lot of great recipes, and funny enough, I had found out that Dad's Deli had gotten a recipe for, you know, when you go to the wedding and they've got like the banana punch that they'll take a punch and they'll mix it with Sprite or 7-Up. Dad's Deli had been selling that banana punch, and when I bought it and started going through all the recipes, they got that recipe from my grandma.
Really?
Yes, because my grandma ran a business called Create a Cake, selling wedding cakes, and she's the one that created that banana punch. So it was like, oh, cool, the recipe is coming home. And that was one of the things that we tried to experiment with our drinks on the coffee side of it, because mixing that banana punch with a lot of our different sodas made sense. But it was the making the concentrate, and then the concentrate is supposed to be frozen, and then it's supposed to be thawed and mixed, and we could never find a way to incorporate it into the Coffee Junkiez menu. So it's like, technically, I still own the Dad's Deli brand, and I own all of the recipes, but will they ever see the light of day again? No, probably not. No. We've got a good thing with Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez, and the product lines just don't incorporate well. So part of my school and my self-taught failures in business. So I'm not mad about it because I learned a lot that I was able to apply to Pizza Junkiez to make sure that it was successful. But one of my many long list and distinguished mistakes that I made was, buying a brand that was created in 1965 and trying to revitalize it. There's just not too many brands that make it 50 or 100 years. Most brands don't make it 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. And I thought that I could beat the odds, and I found out that most odds are there and you don't beat them for a reason.
All right, well, I guess given that, going into, you bought Vickers, and up until recently, I didn't know that Vickers did more than just supply our work clothes. So what are your plans with that going forward?
Again, man, another mistake. I think most small businesses stay small businesses because they don't write systems and processes, and buying somebody else's small business is a mistake and a recipe for disaster. And I can honestly look back and say some of it might have been ego, some of it is, Generally, when you have overconfidence that leads to failure, you can look back and say, that was my ego, and it ends up being very painful in the bank accounts. That said, when I purchased Vickers, it was meant to be part of an ecosystem of businesses that did business with each other and did business with the public. While it has cost me a tremendous amount of time, money, and focus, Vickers is still alive and well, and it's doing just fine. But it was built in the 80s and it was ran like a mom and pop for a long time, and I would have been better off starting from scratch and writing systems and processes and buying equipment from day one. But yes, Vickers is screen print, embroidery, promotional products, and employee apparel. So I knew that when I bought Vickers that it would be the supplier to Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies, which is obviously where all of the apparel comes from. And it does business with dozens of businesses nationwide. But yet another mistake that it was a lemon that I'm making lemonade out of when it's all said and done. But it's got good people running it now. It took me some time to get good employees in there, because when I took it over, I found out that it was failing, and generally it was failing because of the people that were operating it. And once I got those people out and actually got good, honest, hardworking people in there, and I have to stress the honest part, and we started writing processes and systems, things started smoothing out. But it was another situation where I took my focus off of Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies to get involved in something that I never should have gotten involved in. But today, they are in our ecosystem, and yeah, that's where all of the apparel comes from, and hopefully that will, Vickers should grow as Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies grows. It's just a matter of time.
Awesome. Well, I just have a couple more questions. One of them is, what is one or maybe a couple pieces of advice that you would give yourself or any starting business owners? Like advice that you could have given yourself 20 years ago, 10 years ago?
It's like, I knew when I started that I was going to make mistakes. And coincidentally, it wasn't necessarily an analogy. I was watching a podcast where this guy was interviewed, and he said that he had lived in 8 different countries for at least a year. And funny enough, he said that he felt freer in those other countries than he felt in America. And the guy was like, well, then why are you in America? And he said, because it's a great place to do business. And he said, here's the example. If you fail in any of these other countries, you are looked at as a failure and you're a disgrace, and finding a job or another opportunity after you fail, good luck with that. But in America, when you fail, it's looked at like experience, and you can have many second chances. It's just a question of never quitting. So when I started the business, I knew I was going to make mistakes, and it was make the mistakes early and often. Just don't trash the business in the process, because those mistakes are going to lead to the experience and wisdom that I will be able to apply to the bigger journey.
Okay.
Where I really failed was in my own personal development journey, that it took the first 10 years of the business of the definition of insanity. I kept beating my head against the wall, not understanding I'm going to continue to get the same result until I do something different. And the something different was seeking out knowledge and information and going on a personal development journey. And I think that I would never encourage entrepreneurship. Nobody should do it. 99 out of 100 fail. It's a losing proposition. 99 out of 100 people are not built for it, but everybody should seek leadership development, and everybody should seek a personal growth development journey to understand, right down to understanding the concepts of psychology, understanding the concepts that you think that you're a mechanical body, but you're not. You are a walking ball of energy. Your energy gets close to somebody else. If your energy is negative, you're going to drag that person down. If your energy is positive and you get close to a negative person, their negative energy will drag you down. Understanding those basic concepts of protecting your energy, that life is a learning journey and that you should be looking for the lesson in the successes, in the failures, in the interactions with other people. I didn't really start excelling, and the business didn't start stabilizing and accelerating until I literally put myself on a purposeful learning journey. And I feel like the business would be a lot further ahead had I combined the willingness to make mistakes. It's almost like the salesman that most salesmen can't cut it because they can't take rejection.
Yeah.
So you get into sales new, and when you go out and you get told no 100 times, it's demoralizing, and you're like, this isn't for me. I knew that I was going to make mistakes, but I didn't pair that with that development, growth, and personal learning journey until later in the actual journey itself, and it slowed me down. It slowed down the development of the business, it slowed down the development of the team, and it slowed down my mental and physical health because I didn't take enough time to actually purposely seek out wisdom to apply to my own life. And it was like, what's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life? It doesn't have to be my mistake that I've learned from. It's okay to learn from other people's mistakes, and it's a whole lot less painful.
Good answer, good answer. Okay, I have one last question, and that is, I'm curious, where's one place you would like to see Coffee Junkiez or Peach Junkiez before you pass away, before you move on to the next life?
Ooh,
one place.
One place. Man, that's kind of a joke. When I want 50 stores in 50 states and 2,500 stores in America, that's almost a trick question. How about I answer it this way? Most people, as they get older, they're like, they want their forever home. They want this big, beautiful home, and this is where they're going to park themselves and live their life. Mm-hmm. And I've long said, I don't want that forever home. I would like to have little places. A little place in Colorado, a little place in Florida, a little place in Arizona, a little place in Indiana. Mm-hmm. And I am so addicted to my own coffee that I want to know that no matter where I decide that I want to spend a week or a month or 6 months or a year, that I have a Coffee Junkiez within driving distance of every place that I personally love and feel the need to spend time with. Because I do. I like traveling. I want to chase the weather because that 70 to 80 degree clip of weather is that band of weather that I just want to spend most of my time in. But yes, I'm so addicted to my own coffee. I just want to know that wherever I go, I've got a Coffee Junkiez to get my coffee from.
Good answer. Another good answer. All right, well, that concludes my questions.
Okay, so my two big questions, because this does lead back to you are one of the few people that you came in, and you came in, to be fair about this, you came in as a teenager the first time around.
Yeah.
So to come in and then to come back as a young adult and then to come back as an adult, 3 different times you have chose to come back after going out and trying something new, or I think the first time you left was life just kind of happened. Today, why do you choose to work for me?
So I figure that there's no point in spending day-to-day life going about the same monotonous job. You know what I mean? Doing the same thing every day until I die. It just doesn't sound like fun. So I wanted to be a part of something that's bigger than myself, something that I know will carry on and will hold weight. I think that I've been given a pretty good opportunity here. Yeah. I think
that's solid, because, and I say that's solid, most people don't see opportunity in food and beverage. And when I look at that and apply that backwards, like I worked for one of the first Outback steakhouses that came into Indiana. And everybody that I talked to and worked with inside of there, they talked about all of the opportunities for growth that was going to be presented to them inside the food and beverage industry, because Outback was a young and growing company. This is 30 years ago. So anybody that stuck with that brand, the opportunities were exponential because Outback just grew. So I knew that as we start to grow, that yes, I would be opening up opportunities, and it's most people don't see opportunity in the food and beverage industry. But when you look at the brand of Like, imagine the people that got involved in Starbucks 40 years ago, the opportunities that have been presented to them. Yeah. So I thank you for actually seeing the opportunity and seeing it as something bigger than yourself to be involved in. So last question, why should other people patronize Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies?
So so unlike like Papa John's or like Domino's or like McDonald's that are just pumping food out because they know they can and make money off of it, we strive for something better. We spend a little more on our products because we care about what the customer, and customer feedback and customer reaction is a big part.
No, that's fair. And I say that it's like, there's evolution to every brand, but I look back at some of these brands and I think that like they were commercialized just to put out a cheap commercialized product from day one. That was never what I wanted. That was never the customer base that I wanted to go after. It was I'm going to produce a high quality product, and the customer base that wants that high quality product, there is a higher sense of loyalty that you will get out of them, because it's not about price. It is about the quality of the product and the service they receive when they actually are interacting with the business itself. I have learned that if you focus on the quality and you focus on the service, that the volume tends to take care of itself. But in all, where I will sell a few hundred pizzas a day, those brands that you're referring to are selling 500 and 1,000 pizzas a day, and they've just went after the mass production, mass manufacturing, just kick out a regular old pizza, and that's not what I left Chrysler to do. I wanted to do something that was a little more special, and again, obviously, yourself and you're recognizing that, and so it's like when it's all said and done, I've done all of these things. And I wonder if people are picking up on the detail and the effort that went into putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together.
I think that it is, because if you drive around here, like, you'll see at least 2 or 3 cars with a Coffee Junkie sticker on the back of the windshield. You don't see that with Papa John's or McDonald's or Starbucks. Mm-hmm. I've only ever seen that with Coffee Junkies, Pizza Junkies.
No, I've been told many times that in all of my mistakes, that the Powered By campaign was one of the best marketing campaigns that I put together, and it covered up a whole lot of mistakes and learning lessons in the process. So, all right, Cody, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
All right, till next time, have a great day. Powered by Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies.